Well, welcome back, everybody, to Markonomics 101 presents Hoot Loot, the place where you come to be informed, be amused, but never be misled. And we live in a world of nothing but misleading things. You can't believe a damn thing you hear unless you hear it on this show. Uh, you know, I made the mistake, and the reason I'm wearing these glasses, I made the mistake of flipping through the channels, and for 2 seconds I went past, Fox, MSNBC, and CNN, and I had to be hospitalized. The ER was here, the ambulance hauled me out, but I'm fine, and I can take it. I can play on the disabled list any day. I'm here for you and to inform you and make sure that you know that when you hear it here, that it is the truth, and we have sources, and we verify things. When we don't know that we can verify something, we tell you. Um, Next week, we have an incredible show for you. And I want to talk about next week for just a second. Today's show is called Bitcoin Bites Back. I mean, who's talking about anything but Bitcoin? And we're going to tell you some stuff today that is going to be really shocking, very revealing, and just may get me killed. But you know me, I've been killed on every show or hitting a pie or whatever, and I still survive. So if I want to talk about Bill Murphy, who's going to be on next week. He is the chairman of the Gold Antitrust Committee. He has been working for decades of compiling information that is very, very strong and very compelling about just how involved various investment banks, the Fed, the Treasury, and central banks are in suppressing the price of gold. We've asked the question before here on other shows, why the hell isn't gold going up? Here you've got dollars in unlimited supply, everything's in short supply, and gold is like down 20%. Well, we're actually going to start finding out maybe some possibilities about that, and I think things are a-changing. So if you would be so kind as to like and subscribe down here or down here, whichever the hell it is, we would appreciate it. We'd love to see you back. The audience is building and building, because let's face it, the truth is hard to come by, and good analysis is hard to come by. And my sense of humor, well, that's pretty easy to come by because it sucks. So we'll see you in just a minute with the charts and some amazing facts that are going to blow you away. Okay, well, we're going to skip today a lot of the normal charts that we do. We're still at the same place. Nothing really has changed. The market is still in a place where I would say ding, ding to the NASDAQ, and probably to a lot of stocks right now. Only the Dow is kind of creeping to new highs. But I would also say ding, ding to the cryptocurrencies. And I said well, I didn't say ding, ding, but I told you I thought a couple of weeks ago they had hit their highs. It really looks like they have. And the one thing that I find really curious is how little people understand Bitcoin. I don't even understand Bitcoin entirely, but I understand it enough to ask the kind of questions that need to be answered before you do something like make an investment in it. It's not an investment. If you ask the question, what is Bitcoin? Okay, what is it? Okay, people will say it's a currency of the future, etc., etc. Well, a currency is defined as something that is a medium of exchange, that you can buy things with it. Okay, you can't buy anything with Bitcoin other than dollars, and all you can do with Bitcoin is go Bitcoin to dollars, dollars to Bitcoin. Nobody uses it for e-commerce. The biggest companies that have allowed use of it have had almost no revenues in Bitcoin at all. Ironically, the first trade in Bitcoin came out in I think 2010, and a guy named Laszlo actually paid 10,000 Bitcoin for a pizza. That would be like 1/10 of a cent or something like that. From what I can gather, and there was no I have found no prospectus, no offering document, no terms. In other words, there's no counterparty here. If something goes wrong, who do you sue? Who do you complain to? The Bitcoin, complaints department? Yeah, sure. They have got a big one, right, with their corporation and their huge management, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. So we also, we don't know who founded it. I talked the other day about this Satoshi character, who really now people agree is fictitious. And then there was a guy named Craig Wright that we talked about that came on. did a 3-minute interview, wants nothing to do with Bitcoin, and the $60 million he's reported, 60 billion he's reportedly worth. How he doesn't make a footprint somewhere, I just don't know. There are people, however, that are starting to claim some kind of founding of Bitcoin, and that's interesting because they didn't claim it way back when. I can't find an original shareholder of Bitcoin, a prospectus for Bitcoin. I don't know who sold the original Bitcoins. If any of you can, if you can find that stuff out, please tell me, because the evidence of what I'm about to tell you is circumstantial. It's not definitive, meaning that, I can't prove any of this stuff, but when you connect the dots, it's a really, it's kind of shady. Who runs this thing is one of my questions. And I actually looked up Bitcoin management. And I did a Google search. I think it's on this page. Actually, this is the holdings. I'll get to that in a minute. So let me go to the. Oh, here we go. If you Google Bitcoin management team, which is what I did, these are the people you get. Okay. So James McCormick is the managing director. He's the managing director of the Bitcoin management team. All right. So I wondered, really, I've never heard this guy's name before. So what I did was I looked at his, he's on LinkedIn. I looked him up, and I took a screenshot of it, and this is what I found: that he actually runs a company called Bitcoin Marketing, and he didn't start till 2014. He's not really a manager of the company, as far as I can tell, or make decisions. And when you pull up the website associated with this Bitcoin Marketing, this is what you get: nothing. And interestingly enough, for such a huge amount of money, this site's been down since at least April 28th. Today's May 22nd. That's 4 weeks. You couldn't get your site up in 4 weeks? Huh, that's interesting. So, that's part of the thing that I have a problem with. Now, if I want to go back here a couple slides, because I went over this. We don't know. Another thing we don't know about Bitcoin, because we don't have a prospectus, we don't have a contract, we don't have a counterparty that we know of, is who owns it? How many of them are there? Is it really true that 21 million is the limit? Or is that just a wives' tale that everybody believes because everybody believes? If you keep telling people that, but you don't have an original source, all of a sudden it becomes true, but I cannot prove it to be true. I have no idea how many Bitcoins are out there. I do know some of the large holders, and I want to show you some of the large holders, and this is going to be very revealing. One of them is the U.S. government. And the U.S. government owns something, I think they're number 5 here. Actually, they're number 6. But the FBI, according to Forbes, acquired more than 1.5%, and other agencies of government, the U.S. government, have seized Bitcoin that's been used for illegal transactions under the theory that they were anonymous. In other words, let's make a transaction and we'll do it through Bitcoin and no one will ever find out. Well, somehow people found out, and that's kind of interesting that so many be found out. That it's really strange to me. The Chinese government, and I don't know how to explain this either, but they're a huge holder of Bitcoin. So I don't really know how that fits in, but I'll tell you, it tells me China just recently put a clamp on it. I think the Chinese government was involved in it because they were trying to prevent capital flight from the country through Bitcoin. Now, I don't know if that's true. That's just my speculation. A lot of this is speculation. I will be the first to admit it. I'm not telling you that this is the answer, but I will tell you this: all signs point in a direction that I don't like, and I hope that it causes you enough doubt and skepticism to maybe not think that this is going to be your quick ticket to riches. Bitcoin is... let's see. I'm sorry, I got to look at my notes here. So no prospectus, no terms, and then you've got things like no protest from the IRS. They just recently, like 2 days ago, said they're going to start looking at transactions. Well, they've never really protested this, and the IRS doesn't exactly, if they can make a buck off you, they will. They sure as hell will pick your pockets. And to have them actually not want to get involved in an industry that reached $2.5 trillion, and now they're starting to look at it. I think, and of course the bull case is that means it's now legitimate. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But here's a list of some of the top holders. The Grayscale Bitcoin Trust is actually the largest. And if you just must buy this thing, at least buy through an ETF, you won't get hacked. I mean, if you have to do it that way, you won't get hacked. So many have been lost due to hacking. That's another reason that we don't know how many there are, because you can throw, your wallet, your computer into away, and you can't retrieve your password. Another weird thing about how it's constructed is that, any place you go, any software you use, you can retrieve your password. You go to a bank, and a bank will help you, get money out, with other forms of ID. Not in this case, though. Not in this case at all. You lose a password, you are SOL. And it also invites a lot of theft of it. A lot of the exchanges that were hacked, people just walked off with the Bitcoin that was being held for sale to somebody else. It's happened a number of times. So, you have to take into account the risk that something like that will happen to you. And it may be that you made a ton of money on this thing, and then you got it stolen. Well, too bad. I mean, no one's gonna protect you from it. So let's keep going on to the next one, Bitcoin Cash. So I put this second for a reason, because Bitcoin Cash was sort of a spin-off off of Bitcoin. And here's another one, drawdown is 70%. Okay, 70%. Once you have that big of a drawdown, you pretty much have ended your little, parabolic bull phase. And I'll tell you this, here's the interesting thing. I looked up Bitcoin management team, or Bitcoin Cash management team, and this guy is supposedly, that's listed here on this page, this guy named Roger Ver is apparently listed as the CEO of Bitcoin Cash. And if you look at his background, he has a felony for selling explosives in California. He's moved offshore. That doesn't smell very good either, now does it? So, you know, now here's some facts, and I want to tell you about the size of the market. The size of the market, and I'm going to give you some facts here. It'll give you an idea. Um, this is from CoinMarketCap. They have a very, very good database. And some of the facts about the crypto market are amazing. For one, right now, this is a graph of the two bubbles that fit into the time period. As you can see, there was a bubble, a much smaller one earlier, but look, it looks just the same as the one today. It looks just the same. And the total market cap reached $2.4 trillion dollars, now about 1.6. And interestingly enough, there are 10,000 cryptocurrencies out there. 10,000. You know what that means? That means easy to enter. I heard, and I'm not sure this is true, but I am under the impression that new coin offerings just came out for completely unknown coins at over $100 million. For what? I still don't know. Anyway, the total market capitalization has just crashed in the last week, and I wanted to compare this to the prior bubble. Bitcoin has had about six bubbles in the past, and a lot of them are much smaller. They might go from 1 to 10 or something like that, but they're still 10 times. They still go up by a factor of 10. They've had a number of these. Then they basically pause for several years, usually lose 85% peak to trough. And I've said before that if the peak is 65,000 for Bitcoin, which I think it is, and it's traded now down to $30,000, it's lost 55% peak to trough, and it's likely to just go ahead and start just kind of grinding down until it loses the expected 85%. That has been the pattern of it, and as a matter of fact, most bubbles go back to very close to where the last one started. So you have, some risk in this thing right now, and I got to ask the question, what does this do for you? And what does it do? Because Paris Hilton wants it? Because Mark Cuban bought some Ethereum? Well, he didn't do so good either. And I'll show you about that in a minute. But this is, again, from CoinMarketCap. This right here is another excluding Bitcoin. Now, the reason I put this in is that at the end of these bubbles, it is the altcoins, the non-Bitcoin coins, that have the biggest speculative rises. And this is what this shows you. Because you don't, Bitcoin is now passe. It's too big, it's passe, it's not as cool as, it's not cool as, let me tell you something right here. It's not as cool as this. Hootcoin. And Hootcoin is not something that, we're doing as anything other than just a wonderful little work of art by Katie Devsich, who is our art director, and it is fabulous. Check that out, and we can make them for you personally. So that is going to be really neat. I'm going to get my own Marko coin. Hopefully somebody will take it. I know Ace will, because he'll take anything. Uh, so going on here, this is called Bitcoin dominance. Okay, this is the percentage of the total market cap that is represented by Bitcoin. What you'll notice is that it declines just before the thing has stopped. And why? Because the altcoins do better. There's more speculative coins, the Ethereums of the world, has continued to rise, and it's actually now 17% of the market, although it's had about a 50% drawdown in the last week, and that ain't too good. Um, and this again, this is now for the last year, to show you the last year on this thing, and it's going to go back to pretty much where it was about a year ago. I wanted to show you this because I also want to point out here that Bitcoin started to rise, last summer, and rise a little bit at a time last summer before it became a mania in the summer. And there's something interesting about that we're going to get to in a minute. Ethereum does have a website, does have a management team. The website's ethereum.org. Not very interesting though. It'll tell you, all it's going to tell you is a bunch of schematics, but they actually do list some people that appear to be very qualified and very real. There is a president, there is an organization. They are trying to do something. They have a mission, but buying it when it goes up in a parabolic move like that, terrible idea. You cannot buy high and sell higher unless you think there's a bigger fool out there. Well, I can tell you this from my own personal experience, that when I want a bigger fool, I cannot find anybody to be a bigger fool than me. And they are just never around when you need them, and that's all there is to it. And how many times have I wanted a bigger fool and never found one except when I looked in the mirror? So Mark Cuban's a big fan of this. I don't know where he bought it, but I would guess he bought it quite a lot higher than it's trading today, and he might have to eat it for a little while until this thing either proves itself out or not. Litecoin is really interesting too. Litecoin has everything is a .org, and that's kind of funny. Litecoin seems to have more interest in selling tchotchkes and merchandise than anything else. Because if you go on their site, they have shirts with the logo on it. They have all kinds of apparel, kind of like what we're going to do. So I can't say that I blame them, but I'm not putting out phony coins. We're going to put out real numismatic limited edition coins like this that are just drop dead gorgeous. And I'm telling you, we're gonna have limited editions, just like if you're a coin collector. We're not gonna do tchotchkes and stupid stuff like that. So, but this is what this company seems to do, away from I don't even know how they manage the whole thing. It's just strange. Now Ripple is a real company. Ripple has Ripple Labs, and it's still had a 50% drawdown, but the company, if you could be a shareholder in the company, you'd probably actually have a play in cryptocurrencies that you don't have by these tokens. I mean, these are like bus tokens. They actually, what a token does in these cases is it somehow speeds up or makes more efficient the transfer of wealth overseas. And so you use something like this, and a lot of companies have started to do that. JP Morgan did that a while ago. So there's some competition. I don't think this is going to be a profitable business at the end of the day, because too many people are doing it. It's too crowded of a space. It's too easy to get into. And you might make some money for a little while they're trendy and hip, but after that, I think if you haven't taken your money off the table, it's going to take your money off of you real fast. MicroStrategies is another huge holder. It's actually back on that list that I showed you several slides ago. This thing has this guy is just going down, 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 down. Most of its assets are in cryptocurrencies, are actually in Bitcoin, and unfortunately it's gonna be one of the led to slaughter companies, thanks to Bitcoin and the misinformation that exists. So the next one is Overstock. This one is one that proves that Bitcoin is not useful for currency. it has less than 1% in 10 years of its revenues from Bitcoin, and not improving, because anybody that buys Bitcoin thinks it's going to go to $1 trillion and they're going to have wealth overnight. Well, I have news for you. If it goes that high, you're going to be paying a couple billion for a Big Mac. So think about that. You're not going to get any richer just by having a form of currency or more paper. You are only going to get richer in this country. We will only get richer if we build more things, if we produce more things. Having more dollars in stimulus checks, which I never got yet, those kind of things, great. So you have a bunch of paper lying around. Paper doesn't make you rich. What paper does is it gives you a reason to throw it away, gamble it, buy lottery tickets, put it into Bitcoin, thinking that you're going to make, that's your chance to make money, because that money was just sort of given to you. Right, blockchain. Here's a place I think the shareholders of this thing are going to start a riot. That's all I got to say. This one looks like crap. And Tesla, Elon is really amazing. I'm so glad we don't talk anymore, because I can't stand the whole Mars thing that he keeps telling me about, and he's selling a manned trip to Mars by 2024. If you look at the SpaceX website and the $74 million billion that they expect to raise, I don't think it's going to happen. One of the things, and he's pumping up this Dogecoin thing. Come on. Even he knows that's a joke. And on Saturday Night Live last weekend, the price of Dogecoin, which never should have gotten to where it got to, actually fell like 40% during the time he was on. And this company right now looks to me, and I've called it the canary in the coal mine, because it is the same kind of stupid speculative money that goes into Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, that people don't understand. I don't even understand them that well, but I understand enough to know that there's some issues here, and that, something doesn't smell right. The fact of the matter is, I'm not sure that it was created by an individual. I mean, I'm not going to say right now who exactly created it and where it's going and all that, but, connect the dots. The FBI, the US government is the biggest holder. How do they know to get it? Where do they know that these crimes are going to be committed? And there's no one running it. No one running it. This kind of sophistication to actually create this whole structure that runs by itself is not possible. There has to be somebody running it, not disclosed. And, that leads me to wonder who exactly might gain the most from running this. I mean, you have to look at it. Who benefits the most? And if you can answer that question, you pretty much know what's going on here. So we've got a couple more here. Gold. Now, here's the thing that Bill Murphy and I are going to talk about next week, especially him. Gold has been the unbelievably worst performing asset in an environment that you couldn't picture, an environment that you couldn't actually imagine or create that would be perfect for gold. And here's the interesting thing, okay? Gold went down during the same period Bitcoin went up, okay? So Bitcoin starts going up last summer. Gold all of a sudden peaks last summer and starts coming down 20%, while dollars are being thrown everywhere, okay? And I wonder why that is. Who would have an incentive to keep gold down? Well, I don't know, maybe the Federal Reserve, because Paul Volcker said, and he was the best Fed chairman of all time, he was the one that said, gosh, I wish I had never allowed gold to go up to, at the time, $850 an ounce. That was back in 1979-80. The reason being is that it created an inflationary cycle, or so he thought, and gold is like a thermometer or a vote of no confidence or confidence in the marketplace. So the monetary policy, it took much more effort to break the cycle of inflation, a much worse recession. And we've had lower interest rates ever since, and they keep going down and down and down. Now they started going back up, and that led me to wonder one other thing that I'm going to just throw out there as it's just a question. Again, this is all circumstantial. If someone can disprove any of this, I welcome it, because I don't know that my conclusions are correct, but I have a feeling they are. But if you think about it, The Federal Reserve was created for monetary stability, kind of to keep the economy at level bay, keep inflation low, keep unemployment low, but that was it. After Paul Volcker came something called the Greenspan put. Now, what did that mean? That meant that they were prepared, that the Federal Reserve started to get prepared to bail out investors with low rates. As I mentioned before, interest rates that are low inflate all assets, okay? Low interest rates are thought to be good because they do that, but they're not. What's good is a market that's at equilibrium, where savers are rewarded for saving. So they have basically punished savers by keeping rates artificially low, creating misallocation of capital, and here we are bottlenecked like hell with all kinds of dollars going out there to people who are just spending it on stupid things, and it's not creating any wealth. It's creating a shortage of so many things. And gold right now looks like it's breaking out just as Bitcoin has started to crash. Isn't that interesting? As Edith Bunker would say, ain't that interesting, Archie? It really is. Is it a coincidence or not a coincidence? I don't know. But you know what? If I wanted to suppress gold, this would be a perfect way to do it. Blow up a bubble in something that people view as a substitute, number one. And number two, basically be able to, really manipulate people's emotions and their wealth and all that with something that really is just a password. It doesn't really exist. It's not this. You can't flip you can't flip a Bitcoin. You can flip off me, but you can't even flip off a Bitcoin. It doesn't exist. So gold, looks like gold's time is right. And right now, I want to also tell you that one of the issues with gold, I'm going to show you here the 20-year chart. The 20-year chart says that gold has a projected target of about $2,700. Usually, the amount at which its last large move occurred is repeated in the next move. So take that 900 when it went from 1,200 to 2,100, add it to the 1,700, and you got 2,700. I believe it's going to go at least to there, because at some point the Fed can no longer control everything. Once that dollar starts going to levels, it's about to break to new lows. And as it does that, their bullets are less, they're less harmful. They don't have as many bullets in the gun, and they're just BBs basically. And finally, we have silver. Silver actually, I think, is the better of the two because of the production. Silver production has been going down, and it has more uses than gold. And it's also, somewhat of a precious metal. I've shown you palladium, platinum, copper, all that other stuff in the past. They're going through the roof. For these not to be going through the roof, there has to be a reason. And the reason, I've given you sort of my conjecture of what the reason is. There's some evidence that that is actually true. Bill's going to reveal that evidence to you next week, and he's going to reveal some really shocking stuff too. So with that, I want to say thank you very much for tuning in today. I hope you love the show, and we'll be back with closing comments in just a minute. Well, thank you everybody for watching the show. I sure enjoyed it today. I love spilling secrets, and I want to remind you again that Bill Murphy, the heavyweight in the gold industry, the chairman of the Gold Antitrust Committee, is going to be here, and he's going to answer some really, really tough questions about what exactly is going on. And I can tell you this, as far as coins go, I will always prefer something like a hoot coin, which is real. You can flip it. It's gorgeous, to computer code that you can't even get back if you lose. So with that, I want to say, please subscribe. We'll see you back, and we'll see you next time, next Wednesday show.